Here he comes now. Welcome to the show, Stephen. Here's the great Leon Fleischer. Get that right hand. All right.
Unbelievable.
We will miss him very much. Of course, Leon Fleischer, the great Brahms pianist, passed away, I think, on Friday. How are you, Stephen?
I'm all right, man. How are you? What's been going on? What's new with you?
I got an espresso machine. I love it.
Nice. Nice.
I absolutely love it. I forgot. I used to have one, but they got so expensive, the pods and then this, but they deliver same day. It's so, you just get so spoiled. It's kind of a joke.
We have the same thing, and it's convenient. When you got your espresso machine, how many espressos did you have in one day? Because it was so new and so cool.
Like 4 or 5, probably. It wasn't good, but I got decaf too because I mitigated against that problem. Because I know if I have too much, I know what's going to happen. Anyway, welcome to Dabi and Costello, the adventures of, or misadventures of 2 opera singers of dubious sobriety, live from the Upper West Side. How are you, Stephen? You're good? Yeah, we already went through that.
We did. I'm all right, man. I'm a little. I don't know. It's one of those days, it's like it's kind of cloudy outside, getting ready for this tropical storm to hit here in New York City.
Oh, yes. I IPA'd it for everyone. Isaias. Isaias is the correct way to say it. I IPA'd it. So for everyone, that's going to happen. Yes, it's only going to be a tropical storm, hopefully for us, but it seems to have missed most of Florida, which is good. We have friends in Florida. Good people in Florida. We don't want anything bad to happen to anyone. Now is North Carolina, the Carolinas, and then us. Yay. Yes.
I miss having a good old-fashioned thunderstorm. We haven't really had any great thunderstorms lately. Maybe a couple okay, but nothing like really, one of those great thunderstorms where you sit in the house, watch a horror movie, scare yourself to death, can't sleep for the rest of the night. That's the kind of thing I miss.
I get scared, man. The loud noises, I get worked up. I'm not like afraid of getting struck by lightning. I just like the noise. It's gonna get me. It's something when I was a kid, I guess. They used to make fun of me that I'd hide in the closet. I hated thunderstorms so much. And my dog, actually, Bruce, doesn't give a shit about thunderstorms.
Really?
Which is really good.
When I was a kid, we had a rescue dog named Marigold that hated thunderstorms.
Yeah.
And my dad had his favorite chair, and it only took one thunderstorm for the dog to take over the chair. And after that, it was never the same. So yeah, I don't know. That's the only dog I think I've had that ever had like a thunderstorm issue. Our dog Pebbles here didn't have one, from what I understand, from what I know.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. I mean, we've got. Speaking of pets, we have a guest that just crawled up to my leg.
What is this? Oh, hello. Who is this?
Should we put Chloe on the on the mic? So you want to say something to the universe? No. Okay, like more like
you can't put her on the spot.
She's like more like put me the fuck down. I don't want to be on TV.
So I wanted to talk a little about this guy a little bit too, Mr. Fleischer here, our friend. So it's such a cool story. I mean, 92 years old. You know, he kind of, I guess you could say, as much as one can. He went out on his own terms, and pretty amazing story. He basically didn't have use of his right hand for about 30 years. 30 years he didn't have use of his right hand, and you'll see a picture. It's a great write-up here in the New York Times. Through Botox and hand massages, he got use of his right hand back. But in the meantime, look at this. See, he's got only the left hand on the piano there. He actually performed. There are left-handed sonatas by Ravel and by a few others, and he made a career doing this, and then became a conductor and a great teacher. And actually, it was it's so nice to, when you go from sort of being a music lover and a music fan to becoming in the business. Our friend John Keane, of course, was the chorus master at Florida Grand, and now it's Seattle. He told a great story on Facebook today, and I asked him if I could share it. He said, absolutely. It was, he says, a moment from one of Leon's classes that's a constant companion to me. He says, a student was just about to start a late Beethoven sonata, but Fleischer very gently put his hand out and said, wait, the music has already happening. It has been for some time, and you are just going to make it audible. And he said that was a life-changing event. So rest in peace, Leon Fleischer, preeminent Brahms pianist and conductor. He will be missed. Anyway, moving on to something rather different. What have you been drinking this week?
Man, I'm still on this friggin' keto diet, trying it out. It seems to be working now. It's starting to do its thing with ketosis and all that nonsense. So I am trying not to screw it up by doing this 0 carbs, 0 calories, or 0 sugars, blah, 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 bullshit Corona seltzer again. However, I'm doing blackberry lime today. I have to tell you, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it gets the job done.
Oh, okay.
How about you?
How about me? Well, funny you should ask, because I am doing the Smoke Wagon uncut, filtered, straight 57.55% alcohol. If our good friend Latanya is watching, this is a good one. I highly recommend it. It's some good stuff. Very potent. I told Jess I got to be careful this time because I actually don't fully remember the end of last week's show. So I'm going to be sure that I remember this time. Oh, we have some nice comments about Mr. Fleischer here that I should share with us. Jordan Thomas writes, worked with Maestro Fleischer multiple times at Peabody, a great man and musician. That's interesting that you mentioned Peabody, because our guest is also a graduate of Peabody, and she will be coming up shortly, Miss Rachel Blaustein. So that's nice. Pat McCoy says, Ann Midget had a wonderful guest feature in the Washington Post. Can't believe he was in D.C. last year. Yeah, that seems to be the consensus, that even though he was 92, it's kind of a shock. And last but not least, John Tanalia says, what the hell are you on a diet for?
Oh, man, I'm on a diet because of the same reason everybody else is. This quarantine extra poundage that's just happening. It kind of just creeps up on you, I realize, like, when I'm doing a show, I don't know about you, but when I'm doing a show somewhere, I tend to walk everywhere. So I tend to find an apartment that's close to where I'm performing, maybe not too close, but I'll do it, and I'll walk every day. And plus, when you're in rehearsal, you're on your feet at least 6-7 hours a day, if not more. And now you don't do it. Like walking through the apartment, up and down, off the couch, into the other room, even if you're practicing or something, you're not standing up that long. It just, you put on the weight quick, man. It happens. Even when you try to cut back your portions, you just put it on. So it's more not so much to lose weight, a little bit to get off that couple extra pounds from the quarantine, but it's mostly also to be on some sort of like a discipline with eating.
Okay. I
Long
think that's
story.
lame.
Yeah,
I think
thanks.
that's really lame, but
It could be. Screw you.
all right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. This is actually.
We'll see when this is over.
I actually lost weight in quarantine, believe it or not. That's what the stress will do to me. But I think we should start with this kind of an interesting little story, if I could set this up here. This is a great little video, which I'm going to share now with our audience. And that is of a guitar recital that happened during quarantine. And let's see what happened here. Okay. So she's playing. Very good.
She plays awfully quietly, Gideon.
Oh, I didn't share the audio. Well, it won't really matter because watch this. Boom. The chandelier falls in the middle of her performance. Yikes.
Oh my God. It's the Phantom of the Guitar Recital.
Okay. Have you ever been to a performance or anything like that happen?
A chandelier fall? No. Yeah, actually, you know what? It's funny. When I made my Met debut in Lucia, it was my first night singing Edgardo, and I come out, make my first entrance, Lucia Perdona, and all of a sudden something fell just like from the ceiling. I still don't know what it was, but it seems like a piece of wood just fell and made a ton of noise. I think that's the closest thing I have to anything like that happening.
Oh my God. I saw a performance of Tosca at my local theater once from Teatro Lirico d'Europa, and they had these two, in the Scarpia's room, whatever it is, they decided to make windows, but it was clearly like two doors that were windows, and they opened it up, and they opened toward the stage, soprano all the way down stage. Suddenly, in the middle of the thing, just as Scarpia leaves, the whole thing, boom, crashed down, shattered into a million pieces. No joke. I didn't know the opera well at the time. The soprano had her back to the audience. The thing crashes, and she turns to the audience. Visidarte, right before the big fucking aria.
Well, I guess it took a little bit of the pressure off, right?
I guess.
I mean, at that point, what else could go wrong, right?
Oh my God, I don't even know. That's a wild thing. Let's see what else we got here that we can talk about. That's oh yes, Stephen. This is one of your favorite topics that we like to talk about, and that is the Russians think or are claiming that they have a vaccine. Do you trust this vaccine, Stephen? You're gonna take the Russian version of this vaccine. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm on the fence. I have to be honest. I'm on the fence. I want to go back to work.
Yeah. In 2 weeks. They think it'll be ready in 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. Yes, that's what they're claiming.
Well, at least, I mean, look, here's the thing. It may work. It may not. I mean, at this point, same thing with all the vaccines, right? They may work. They may not. Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll see in, 2 weeks? I guess we'll see in about 2 months if it's going well. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, oh man, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. I'm pulling for a vaccine. I really am pulling for a vaccine.
Oh yeah, we're all pulling a vaccine, and we have news on that front. But this is what I want to know, Stephen. Why in the hell would you bother to take a vaccine when all you need to do, according to the Belarusian president, is drink vodka? Well, the problem is he got COVID. That's right. So Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko, after boasting that he could beat COVID by just having his people drink vodka, and he also went on to say that he would his country wouldn't have any casualties. Regrettably, 538 Belarusians have passed from COVID. So unfortunately, if you had vodka as your hopeful vaccine on your bingo card, you're going to have to scratch that off. Vodka apparently does not cure COVID. However, maybe God willing, he'll recover, and he can credit vodka for a speedier recovery. Maybe.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if vodka was the cure, we'd have no more pandemic in sense of virus, but we'd have a pandemic of car accidents and deaths. So I don't know. I think that's crazy. We would have all loved for that to work. It would have been fun, a reason to drink when you're not supposed to. No, I'm sorry. I came to rehearsal a little drunk today. I'm sorry. It's the COVID vodka, you know. A little nervous.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some vodka. This is anti-COVID medication. Actually, it's an IL-7. You can have some of that. Actually, Stephen, so a little inside baseball for our audience. I usually email Stephen all the stories beforehand and what we want to do. I didn't do that this time. I can't even blame the alcohol. I didn't even drink this weekend. However, I wanted to introduce a new segment this week, and that is conspiracy. Now, what is this week's conspiracy? Well, it's this story right here. As soon as I can find this thing here. Well, we have the story of that judge in New Jersey whose family was attacked by a crazed gunman. And what happened? He shoots, it's terrible. He killed the son, injured the father, but he was really going after the mother of the family, who's a federal judge. 2 weeks prior to this, guess which case she was assigned to? That's right.
Yes.
Jack, why don't you guess?
Is it part of the Epstein trials?
Yes, it is. It is part of it. Now, to be clear, we are just having fun with this conspiracy stuff.
But it could be true.
It could be true. Yes, we're having fun with it. So that's number one. Now, here's the other good thing, right? The other important conspiracy that we want to talk about is, remember in the fall how all of those vaping cases, right? And people were dying mysteriously of vaping. You don't remember that? It was in the big.
I don't remember that. I'm not
people were vaping and they were dying. Well, guess what? Maybe they're starting to think now that was actually the beginnings of COVID. Maybe it was September.
Maybe that was Epstein as well.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the end of my conspiracy. I hope you enjoyed my hat. But the good thing is our guest is here, and I'm gonna introduce her as part of a new idea. We want to sort of promote people that we especially and young artists. You know, we've had a few very, very established, very successful singers, and we want to promote some younger and also very successful singers. So our guest this week is Rachel Blaustein. She's originally from Olney, Maryland. She's had engagements with Kentucky Opera, Des Moines Metro Opera, Opera Santa Barbara, Chautauqua Opera, Chicago Lyric, Chicago Opera Theater. She is a Met Council regional winner as well, which is very cool. And why don't we take a quick listen to Rachel before we bring her on? What do you say?
Absolutely.
What do you say? Does that sound good?
Do it.
I think that sounds good. Okay, just 1 second. I'm going to get this thing right now.
Okay,
well, fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live.
We'll make her do it live.
We'll make her do it live. Here we go. Okay, let's take a listen, shall we? And there we are. Welcome to the show, Rachel.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me. Can you hear me?
Oh,
yeah, we sure can.
Okay, I don't have a fancy mic, so
That's okay.
It sounds all working.
That's okay.
Oh, we get them because we're sponsored.
Oh, I gotta do that.
Yeah.
Response. Rachel, where are you supposed to be? That's our favorite depressing question to ask people who come onto the show. Where should you be right now?
Currently, I should be at the Glimmerglass Festival right now in Cooperstown, New York. But I am in my apartment in Chicago instead.
How is it in Chicago? Is it true what we hear on the news?
It's okay, actually. I mean, I stay in most of the time. It's not so bad. The weather is great, so I can't really complain about that. It's not too hot. Although now it's like high of 70 every day, so I guess summer's over. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, I love Chicago, but I wish I was in Cooperstown. But you know, it is what it is.
You know, Rachel,
I don't love Cooperstown. Yeah.
Every week we have a lot of people that have been really established in the business and in it for a long time, and they talk about their fears, their concerns, and with all the stuff that's been going on, all the cancellations. You, as the younger generation of artists that are starting to come up in the business, what is your main concern? Because I think we have a big audience of younger generation singers, and what is your concern with your future, for instance, of what's going to happen after this?
That's a good question. I'm hopeful, you know, that this is temporary and that, you know, obviously this isn't going to last forever, but I am concerned that it's going to be tough, especially learning about how the audition process is going to work this coming season. I'm a little worried about people who are kind of in that in-between stage, you know, not quite managed yet, but are ready to be so, you know, where these managers aren't really looking. They're not hiring singers, you know, to manage at the moment because there's no work. And, you know, really, I think it's so important, especially now, to really work every connection that you have. And the people who don't quite have their foot in the door or who don't quite have those like needed connections it's going to be more difficult than it already has been. So I'm concerned for that.
I mean, a lot of the younger singer spends a lot of time auditioning, whether it's auditioning for young artist programs, auditioning for managers, auditioning for competitions and stuff like that. What is the latest news on that front? Have you heard anything about, do they do virtual auditions? Do you have to send in a tape? What is the latest COVID audition process?
So I have heard lots of different things, but what it's looking like is this fall is going to be completely digital, all online auditions. So I'm a little bit, I guess I should say, curious to see how that's going to pan out. And again, that goes back to, I think, a lot of these people who are running these companies are going to play it safe and go with people that they know, because it's really hard to trust and gauge something through a screen, especially, you know, how a person works and personality and all that, you know, everything that's on top of the voice. So the latest that I heard is that everything is going to be online. And there's something like a little, like a coalition, not a coalition. What's the word I'm looking for? Like basically a group of 20 companies is going to be having, they're going to come together and you're going to send a preliminary tape and then they decide on 2 additional pieces that they want to hear. They all decide together. And then you have a 2 or 3 week period to do a recording from your bedroom or wherever, you know, if you get a space, great. If you don't,
I need a drink.
It's like a process. Come on. Yeah. You go to law school in less time.
Hold on, Rachel. They're not just, so I know Marilla just pushed their whole season back a year. Is Glimmerglass, which I guess I can say that's the company you would be singing with, that they're not going to be pushing their whole thing a whole year back?
It varies from company to company. I know some are doing a complete, like, just bringing everybody, you know, for the following year. And that's another concern that I have for these young singers who didn't get the opportunity last summer. You know, it's like a whole, you know, what are they going to do for another year? And so, but with Glimmerglass specifically, they're going to be doing a little bit of a hybrid, some stuff from the 2020 season, some new stuff, but they are going to be holding auditions, you know, like everybody else, doing this digital thing, and I guess taking it from there, seeing what they can do.
Interesting. That sounds like I don't know. How do you feel about that? I mean, I honestly believe that virtual things, you kind of get a sense of how people sing, but you don't really get a sense of their voice. You don't get a sense of that. Do you feel?
I would hate it. I think I sound like shit on recordings. I would not want that.
Right. I mean, I did my first recording recently, and I hated listening to myself every 10 minutes trying to do.
Is that the Grammy nominee recording plug, Stephen?
Yeah. So do you think you're at a disadvantage from having these recordings, these virtual videos? And I mean, let's be honest, would you rather them postpone auditions, or are you happy that they're still trying to make something work?
I am definitely happy that they're still trying to make something happen. I'm happy that they're still trying to make some things work. I am looking forward to some things, but there's pros and cons, right? Like I really don't think you're able to gauge, what it would be like in a live room. But I will say this will cut back on costs of flying to New York. This will cut back on application fees. The fees are no longer, I think they said it's going to be like $0 to $5 because they don't have to rent a space. They don't have to rent a pianist. So there's that. But I think some people are going to be at a disadvantage because, if you can get into a space with a live pianist, obviously that's better, than doing it with a piano track from your bedroom. And there's going to be some people who aren't able to do that, including possibly me. And they say, they're not going to be looking for that, but I think subconsciously, how can you not? It makes me question a lot of how that's going to work and how they're going to sort of even out the playing field.
But there has to be a live audition at some point, right? I mean, because with editing and the things you can do, if you go into a room and you record a video 25 times before you send it, who's to say
but everyone has that advantage though then, right? So everyone can kind of edit it. So you're sort of still level playing field, right?
Exactly. Like I could record an aria 25 times and pick the best one and be like, okay, rather than a live audition, you get one shot. That's it. So,
but that's the best part of the live audition, right? You do it live, you do it once, and you see how you handle the pressure, and you see how
that's true.
See if your consistency is when they say go. I have a feeling that it's gonna work, and then they're gonna have to recast. I just don't, you know what I mean? It feels like they're gonna have to do something live, or at least submit videos to filter out all of the mass population auditions, and then.
Yeah. So, for example, I just heard today for National Council, they're going to be doing everything online until the semifinals. So districts and regionals are going to be through, online. I guess there's a qualifying round followed by a one-on-one, basically you and the judges, a live audition through the screen for both districts and only with a piano track. You're not allowed to have a live pianist. I guess that's good and bad. I hate singing with a piano track, especially bel canto repertoire where there's a push and pull. I'm curious to see, and then they're hoping that the semifinals and finals will be in May at the Met. But we'll see.
But that doesn't make any sense. Why a pre-recorded track? Why not a live pianist? What if you're married or you're dating or you're living with a pianist of some sort, and it's like they can play for you. They're not at risk. You're not risking.
What I think, Stephen. My guess would be is that not everyone can get that, and I think they want to kind of make sure that nobody has an advantage like that. And so you all have to do operoki.
Yeah,
sounds like a disaster.
I am happy that they're trying to make things happen, for people who are feeling, like they're in a good place with their voice and, they're like, this is my year. I'm happy for that, but it's going to be so different.
I disagree with you. I don't think anyone right now is saying 2020 is their year. I think there's a joint consensus of people saying that 2020 fucking sucks.
Yeah, so, it sure does.
I think the only one that's saying that is Joe Biden right now. 2020 is my year.
Yeah, 2020 is my year. Rachel, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a Cabernet.
Okay. Is it your favorite? Or is it just anything special?
It's Josh Cabernet. It's my go-to red wine. But.
You know what? I get asked all the time by young artists, like what is the process of from study to finish to get into a career. Maybe you can shed some light on your process, how you went from starting to singing to getting to where you are now to maybe it'll shed some light on people that are also now trying to follow the same path, but without obviously they don't have a lot of outside help because we're not allowed to be around people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me personally, it's been a long process. And I mean, for everybody, it's a long process, right? But the way my path has sort of gone is I've had more success in the young artist world than comparatively to competitions, per se. And what I've noticed is every connection that you make, every new company that you join, those connections is what that's what's going to get you to your next job. The people who are there, who hear you there, that's how you're going to keep growing and growing. And to just not really be afraid to ask questions and ask for help, because you cannot get anywhere alone, especially doing this sort of stuff.
You did well in competitions, though, Rachel. I mean, at least according to your bio. And I'll let you know, one of the three people in this conversation never did a competition and actually came out of it okay. It's me. Yeah. So you've done quite well. And do you get to bypass, because you were a Met Regional winner, do you get to bypass one of the earlier rounds, or are you you still got to go back to the pool?
No, you got to start all over. I mean, I don't know. For me, I've just tried to do everything I can get my hands on, and some things pan out, some things don't. But I really just try to do everything I can, get in touch with every person, everything that I can. And I spend so much time behind closed doors, working on my voice, and people are like, oh, it's a lot of alone time, a lot of work on your own, and a lot of just getting back up and doing it again, especially as a soprano. It's like so damn hard.
I mean, you're at that crucial stage now, right? And everything's closed and your summer program was canceled. Do you continue doing coachings and voice lessons via the computer? And if you do, how do you feel about that? What do you think of that process?
So at first I was like, how is this going to work? Coachings, lessons. I never actually took a lesson over Zoom or Skype or anything until COVID, because I was, I don't want to say against it, but I was skeptical about how that would work. But with the current circumstances, it forces you to, and especially through Glimmerglass, they're offering us, up to 5 coachings a week, which is
that's nice.
Incredible. And you get to choose, request anybody from the music staff, which has been absolutely incredible and amazing. And actually, it's far exceeded every expectation that I had. I wasn't sure how it was going to be going in, but sometimes it's over Zoom, sometimes it's over FaceTime. You start with a track, and if you kind of get off from the piano track, you stop and you sort of just do it, phrase by phrase. But they know what they're listening for and what they're looking for, and the general things that they can help you with. So
you actually have a coaching with a piano track and no one's playing for you?
Yeah. So we have to request a track, and they send us, and we can say, well, this is where I breathe, this is where I take time. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And luckily the coaches are super understanding, and you can say, well, I don't really prefer to work with the track, and they're like, okay, well, we'll just go through it. I mean, luckily for me, I have a little keyboard here that I can work with.
But as a young singer, you're constantly learning new rep. You're constantly taking new rep to coach that you've probably never sung for the first time. Yeah. So when you submit a piece that you want to do, that you've been working on yourself, that you want to work on in the coaching, you may not know where the correct breath is yet.
Yep.
So how do you, and you're learning it, so you really don't know your style yet. You don't really know your flow. You don't really know your phrasing. That's the whole thing of coaching and teaching, is you're constantly using that time to find your balance, navigate your way through it, and find your artistic achievement, I guess, in that aria or piece that you're wearing. So how is it that a piece that you've never done, how is it that you tell them what you do for them to record it? I mean, it's mind-boggling. I don't understand.
Yeah,
sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's a lot of tiptoeing. It's a lot of, requesting the track, and then, spending some time with it on your own and saying, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And then you can request a new one. But it's kind of, you sort of have to imagine, or what the work that you've done with the music already, just be hopeful that it comes out. Luckily, we're not making recordings just yet. Those recordings for auditions will come in the fall. And it's just going to take, I think, a lot of like practicing with those tracks before anything.
Wow.
Rachel, is there an accepted? So this is sort of like really, I mean, it's uncharted territory for so many things. Is there an accepted way that you, especially someone in your position where the credits are so crucial, your resume credits are so crucial? Is there a sort of new convention or etiquette for engagements that didn't happen because of COVID? Do you still write the engagement? We had this conversation with Leah Crochetto a few weeks ago. Like, do you still write the engagement and then a little asterisk or a little C in the corner? So Steve, you say no? Steve says no. What's that?
You say no?
It's terrible. Don't do that.
So
Well, I mean, but it's important for them to know that you got the gig. That's part of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a big, every canceled gig that I've had, they say we encourage you to put, a little asterisk, where, normally you do like a plus sign to do cover, upcoming, whatever, add one more symbol that says cancel, COVID canceled for COVID-19, just to show, what you were supposed to do. And luckily a lot of this stuff is getting postponed rather than flat out canceled. Some of it is getting fully canceled, but I'm hopeful that some stuff in early 2021, if it does get canceled, it'll get pushed rather than flat out canceled.
I don't know. I'm against that. I'm against, look, I look, when you're sitting at a coffee table with someone, or you're sitting at a dining room, you're having dinner, you're having a drink with someone, you can always say, yeah, I was supposed to do this, didn't happen, I did this. But I feel like when you put something on your resume, it should be experience. Like, I feel like saying did you sing The Duke? And it's like, well, no, but I was supposed to. It's like, well, okay. Because I mean, there's a high percentage of people that are supposed to do something, and even when it's open, they never end up doing it for many reasons, whether it's sickness, whether it's they couldn't do it, or whether they may have been replaced. I mean, I just feel like it's like,
I'll tell you why you feel that way. I'll tell you why you feel that way.
I mean, at that point on, I could put on my resume, I was supposed to run for president in 2020, but I didn't. So because of COVID,
that's not fair.
I didn't have enough.
That's not fair. Come on, look. I'll tell you what. At your level, yeah.
No,
at your level, yes. With all due respect, I'm closer to Rachel than you. With all due respect, and I'm just saying that it's still important for management, and it's important for people to see what you are contracted to do. The perception. Yeah. Regret, even though you're right, the perception is still a big factor in the business. And to say, well, look, I was supposed. Let me ask you: if we went to the extreme, Stephen, and she was supposed to sing, the soprano in the Ninth Symphony with the New York Phil, and that got canceled. Like, don't you think that it's kind of a cool thing for her to go into young artists or whatever auditions and then be able to say, yeah, well, I was actually contracted to do it, but it got canceled. Like, I think it does still reflect well on the singer that they were contracted to do things, but then things went to shit.
Yeah, but I feel like they may know that, though. I mean, I feel like
they might.
I feel like you're discrediting the people that are there auditioning you by saying that they haven't fact checked or they haven't looked up the people that are singing.
Well, some of those haven't been announced, though, right? I mean, did they announce all of these things that have been canceled already?
Yeah, but it's kind of known what people are doing. I mean, it's not that it's announced. I think houses in between each other know what people are doing, what their seasons are coming up, because they
maybe at the top houses, yeah.
Because they want to hear you for something, from some reason, and it's probably most likely because you've gotten a recommendation or have been heard somewhere else. I don't know. I like I said, there's no right or wrong here. This isn't. I'm just my opinion because it's.
I definitely see where you're coming from. I think it's more of like to show, hey, this was the path that I was going on. This is my trajectory, especially like a young singer who's sort of, getting out of the young artist into professional world. It's like, hey, this is what I was supposed to do. Maybe I'll do it, hopefully in 2021 or 22. But I think that's like the point, is to say I had work, rather than like, I'm not doing anything, hire me though.
Especially when you're looking for management, right? And they want to know that you've been getting work. Like that's like a singer in a position who doesn't yet have like a full-time manager. Like, that's important for them to show, yes, I was, and I'm getting, this kind of thing. But by the way, I'm annoyed at you that you just revealed to our audience that you and I are running for president in the fall. I think that's kind of messed up. We weren't ready to announce that, but you just blew the top on that one. Thanks.
I thought we were just going to let them find out when they went into vote and see it on the ballot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess that's fair. Should we talk about the rest of the business now? What do you think? So, actually, before we do that, Rachel, did you ever work with Leon Fleischer? I know he was at Peabody. Was he there before you, or
he was there when I was there? But I did not ever work with him one-on-one. But I know it was a great loss to our world.
When were you at Peabody? I'm sorry. When were you at Peabody?
I was there 2013 to 2015. So 5 years
for
ago.
your master's then?
Whoa, so long ago.
Right. For your master's then, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I went for my master's.
Okay.
Yep. So he was there, but I know hearing that was like a bright light has been dimmed for sure.
Peabody. I got accepted to Peabody. It was one of the few schools that accepted me when I applied for my graduate program. Manhattan accepted me. Peabody, ABA. Curtis did not. Neither did Juilliard.
We would have been in Manhattan together. P.S. Stephen, way to go! I had to wait till Carmen in Dallas to meet you. Way to go!
One was free.
I talk all the time.
So
that's true. I guess that makes sense.
Funny.
Yeah.
So good news. I think it's good news for all singers, right? Apparently, Salzburg doesn't give a shit about your COVID. And they're going on with their season with lots and lots of testing. Of course, socially distanced audiences. The New York Times is a whole write-up. Where there's a will, there's a way is basically what they're saying. So audiences of basically up to 1,000 people. I'm not sure what the general audience is there, but they're doing it. They are doing it. Salzburg is putting on their festival with limited audience. The crowds are enthusiastic. They are doing it. Rachel, what do you think of Salzburg just absolutely going for it in the time of COVID?
I mean, did you see there was an article that just came out a couple of days ago. I don't remember what company it was, but they successfully did a Traviata, I think. I don't remember.
Well, that's our next story.
Madrid.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Do you want to, yes?
And there was no cases whatsoever, and they had distance seating and all that. So part of me is like, was that a coincidence? And I don't think so. I think there's a method, but I am definitely hopeful. And I think, in Europe, like, that's great. I wish so bad that like the U.S. could get it together because we could be doing that.
Well, it's funny you say that because let me just go on here to the next story. As in Madrid powers through, they have a major spike going on over there, but they don't give a shit. They are just powering through. They do not care. They're like, our singers are fine. We have no new infections. So we're just going to do it.
I don't think they don't give a shit. I think
they obviously give a shit. Yes,
they've really done a lot of research on it. I have many friends in that production that was happening in Madrid, and it was they went through a lot of testing. They went through testing all the time, and if someone got tested, if someone came back infected, they were going to close down the show, and that just never happened. But they did it. They did it in a certain way, and they took a lot of precautions. And I mean, there's something to be said. I mean, if you're going to be telling everyone to wear masks as they should, they'll do their job. The mask will do its job. It will protect you from getting the viral infection. So I don't know.
They're going at 50% capacity, by the way. They're not doing the 10% capacity that so many, or 20%. They're doing 50% there.
But you know what we have never figured out in the United States is liability in general. We're in a very big sue culture. So I feel like people, if people get sick, they're going to sue, and it's a lot of liability issues. And and I feel like the United States isn't as big of an arts culture anymore as a lot of European cities. And people really crave arts, and they want it, and they want to help find a way to make it. And they've done scientific tests in all these European cities, and I mean, I think good for them. At least they're doing it. They're giving hope for everybody, and they're putting a lot of artists back to work that are out of work at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
True. I mean, it's so frustrating because I'm like, why can't we just do that here? Like, why is it that everything else is happening in the States? Nobody else gives a shit about anything else except for performing arts. They're like, no, anything with large gatherings, that's it. Whereas opening restaurants, I walked down the street down near the Cubs Stadium on Saturday, and it was mobbed. I mean, like, people everywhere. And it's the same sort of thing. I wish even outside venues here, those don't even seem to be happening that much here either, with the bigger companies. And I wish that was a thing. But
well, we seem to have made a pandemic very political. And whenever you make something like this political, you're going to have such a big divide in everything. And at this point, there's really, I mean, it's terrible to say this, but there's really no hope for Americans being on the same page together in this fight against COVID. And that's one of the major reasons that it's holding up all of our jobs. Because once the arts, once you start a production rolling and start rehearsals, it's very hard to stop that because you've already invested so much money and so much time into it. And if we get a spike, it's just, you just close overnight.
Yep.
So, Stephen, this is a fun one. So, you know how we always talk about how the arts enrich everyone's life, how important arts education is? Well, unfortunately, because that's what people do, they have to kill the fun for everyone. That's right. A new study says Mozart for babies is bullshit. So music lessons, they say, do not help children. The whole argument was that music lessons help you in math, they help you in English, they help you in problem solving. Well, this study says it doesn't do shit with respect to that. However, there is a silver lining. And of course, this was rebuked by a lot of music educators. And that is that music lessons make children happy, and it make people happy. And you can't really put a price on that. But as far as the sort of more objective scientific data that music enriches people in other subjects and helps them, this study says it's bullshit. Stephen,
I think that story is bullshit in general. I mean, let's be realistic. No one said by becoming a musician you're going to be a genius. I'm far from it. I'll tell you that much. But what it does do is it helps you work different parts of your brain because there's so many different layers you have to think upon when you're doing something. However, it also teaches you a discipline for people that may be lost, may be afraid to express their emotions. It gives you that sort of an outlet, right? But it also, on top of that, it teaches you to work well with others. Like when you're singing in a choir, you're trying to make harmony with people. You have to work together. When you're in an ensemble, you're trying to work as a team to produce something. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you social aspects of life. It teaches you a lot of other things. But no one ever said, I don't think anyone ever said, well, you know what? My kid's going to learn the violin because it will make him smarter.
No, they did. They absolutely did. No, they absolutely did. And look, my father is a musician. He's also a polymer chemist. He got his PhD in polymer chemistry. Music lessons helped all of us. Of course, you can't do a controlled experiment, right? I can't go back in time and live my life without, going through music. But the reality is that it has enriched my life. So it has become my life, but it certainly has enriched. I think it's enriched a lot of people's lives. So maybe this is one of those things where you can't really put a number on it, and that we're just happy to have it, and that's it. And that's okay. And I don't know why that should be bad. Okay.
I guess. So. You're really
What's that?
You're being nice to the article, actually.
Well, it's not about being nice to the article. It's about that it's not the whole story. Just because me taking piano lessons and me learning music theory isn't going to make me better at factoring and algebra doesn't mean that music is worthless. It just means that it may not necessarily be quantifiable. That's all. And that's what the article is saying, is that it's not quantifiable. But I'm being very cynical today. I apologize. But I'll say this. Everything is bigger in Texas except the audience, but Dallas Symphony is going forward. And we will talk about this with our next week's guest, perhaps. Stephen, do you want to talk about our next week's guest?
Yes, our next week's guest will be Ian Derrer, who is the general director of the Dallas Opera. Very excited to have him on. It's going to be a treat. I can't wait to pick his brain about COVID and helping to raise money for a nonprofit when you don't have a product to sell.
Yep. Well, but this is interesting. They're going forward. They have a curated audience. They're going to have 1,000 people. I don't know what that percentage capacity is. I think this is something about 1,000 people. They're staggering departure time. So what a lot of these people are doing, and Salzburg's doing the same thing. I'm not really sure of the logic, but I guess there's something behind it. There isn't going to be intermission. So they're getting rid of intermissions. They're getting rid of intermissions because I guess they don't want people getting close to each other. They're seating people into like a checker sort of formation to help reduce it. And they're holding the concerts to about an hour. That's basically what their answer for this kind of problem is. But you know what? We applaud that because it could be zero. And as friends of the show, John Roy, the great financial analyst, noted and agreed that people want this stuff. People want to go out to restaurants. People want to go to the symphony. They want to go to the opera. So I think something is better than nothing in this respect. And William Russell says, Ian just had lunch at Madison Santa Fe. Well, come on next week. That's right, William. We love having you. William, I think William is our super fan. Honest, I love it. It's great. But yes, Ian will be on next week.
I mean, people want these things just as much as they want sports. Who made the decision that everyone wants sports over arts and on TV? I mean, who makes these decisions for us? And I think it's if people want it, you have to find a way to give it to them, because right now people don't have anything. And so I feel like it only takes one organization. I think it started with one organization in Europe also that made the leap on saying, we're going to do this. We're going to try to put it together and see what happens. And I don't think any of these arts organizations, because I know a million people that run them, are sitting there saying, you know what, I'm going to do this and fuck them and fuck COVID. No one's saying that. They're all taking precautions. They all want to be safe, but they also all want to give someone a venue to go on to. And I think people just need to respect it and know they're not trying to be malicious. They need to really just support it.
Rachel, what do you think? Smaller audience better than no audience?
I think so, yes. I mean, that's my hope, but I definitely think people, like Steven said, I think it's one company, it'll be a snowball effect. I think everybody's sort of afraid, obviously, for obvious reasons. But, I think it is doable. I think everybody's dying to get back to work. I think, the people in the audience are dying to, see some live theater. I think, I mean, people love it. I mean, it's an indescribable thing. So, I would be all, on the side of smaller audience and try it out and see what happens. But obviously, you have to be safe about it. But there's other places that are setting the example, like Dallas, and you just have to see what happens, and hopefully some good things will come from that.
And people go to theater just to get away from the crap that's going on in the world for 3 hours, right? Much. So they can sit there for 3 hours and just kind of
only an hour this time, but better than nothing.
Still, whether it's outside, whether it's sitting there in a car watching a movie, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you want to get away from your life for 3 hours. You want to forget about all the crap that's going on in the world, just to ease your brain, and people need that more than ever, I think.
Yep, totally. Yep. So, I'm all for it. I'm nervous about the winter. I think right now it's easier to do some outside things.
We'll have a vaccine, and we'll have news about that soon.
I hope so, man.
We'll have news about that on this show. We're breaking it for everyone. I'm sorry, continue.
I know all these places are trying to do all these broadcast things, but it's not the same. It's definitely not the same. But I definitely think it's going to be a process where everybody eases back in rather than, okay, we're back, and it's it's going to be limited capacity to 50%, 75% until it gets back to normal.
So here's a nice thing. So we've been following this guy, Steven. You and I have been following this guy for a while, and he's the guy who's been making the 3D portraits of old composers. Remember this? We've highlighted him on the show a few times. Look how cool this is. So this is Brahms now. He's using paintings and using his skills. He's made 3D renderings of all the old composers who were probably a little bit before really good photography. Brahms, there are some pictures photos maybe at the end of his life. But you have Brahms here. And then, of course, here's Chopin. So this is really cool. You have, and then, of course, Franz Schubert. I think that this guy does some pretty incredible work. We've never really seen what these people look like, and this is probably as close as to realism as it's going to be. But you know what? Hey, COVID, you got time.
Didn't Brahms in that picture kind of look like James McAvoy?
Well, let's see. Well, hold on. Let's go back. Let's take a look.
Side by side.
James McAvoy, you think? Let's take a look. Here we go. Let's see. James McAvoy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. You don't think so?
I don't know.
Can we do a side by side? Can we do a side by side?
Oh, that's gonna take me a minute, but I can try
man.
it. I can try. That's gonna take me a little while, man.
All right, let's you can do it, and we'll move on and see if we can come back to it. I'm curious now.
You know, I appreciate that Steven thinks so. We're gonna segue a little bit because that's pretty much off of the music stories. But this story, like I always love when people just don't give a shit. It's for better and for worse. It's kind of one of my favorite things. I love when people just say, I don't care. They're going to say whatever they want. And that is Andrea Bocelli seeing red over lockdowns. That's right. Andrea Bocelli is not happy with Italy's lockdown. And he goes on, I put this full quote. He says, quote, I know a lot of people, but none of them ended up in intensive care. So what was all this sense of gravity for? Says Andrea Bocelli. I'm sorry. I love this story. I think it's fun.
He just didn't see them go into the ICU. I don't know. I look, I got to tell you. I mean, Italy got hit just as hard as New York, and they've been doing a great job keeping the virus at bay, and they've opened their city and they've opened their arts organizations. I mean, they're doing something right. I mean, Andrea Bocelli is just upset because he's usually making these $1 million concerts, and he has to stop for
he is
exactly.
Yes, he absolutely is. All right, let's see what else I got here. Sorry, my computer's being a jerk here. Give me a second here. Let's see what other stories we got that are fun here for fun. Oh, this is actually a kind of a fun story. So, when people ask, they're like, oh, what if you had to be on a desert island, what would you pick to be? You'd got to pick like 3 CDs and blah, blah, blah. Well, apparently what you pick on the desert island defines us forever. What we decide in our younger years determines everything that we think forever. Isn't that kind of wild? Rachel, what do you think about the fact that basically in your teenage years, what you decide, what you like for music sticks? And is that true for you? Do you still listen to the music that you listened to as a kid or as a teenager?
Some of the stuff that I listen to, I'll listen to it and I'll be like, oh man, that's so nostalgic. And I don't hate it. I'm like, no, I mean, I liked it for a reason back then, but I will say, my palette of music has expanded. The older I get, the more things I discover. And but it's funny you say that because I'm like, what are the 3 things that I would pick, if I were deserted on an island, and do those really like define my life? And I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of our younger years are, very imperative of how we are older. But I think, change is possible, and people. I do think people change. People can change.
Okay. What do you think, Steven?
I don't know. I listened to a lot of gangster rap with my cousin when I was younger, and
you wouldn't want that? Any of those? I can tell you, I put Ready to Die.
No, I'm not saying that.
93 on my desert island list.
Hey, I agree with you. I think they all deserve to go. But what I'm saying is it didn't really change the way I turned out in life. I mean, I didn't become a gangster rapper.
No, but did your music change? Did your taste in music change?
Oh, so yeah. I went to the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm now a classical musician that listens mostly to classical music. I mean,
but you wouldn't pick any of those pieces that you did?
Absolutely, I would. I mean, I would.
So then the study's right.
Yeah. But you're only allowed 3. But you're only allowed 3. You know what I mean?
I didn't say 3. I'm just saying.
How can you only be allowed 3 when your iPod holds like 1 million? Okay. I mean, come on.
That's true too. Okay, so Rachel, this story is actually for you. I confess. Okay, so Seth Rogen.
Oh my God, it's you.
It's me, right? Seth Rogen stepped into some shit when he started talking shit about Israel. That's not the story. The real story is that after he said some very, in my opinion, questionable comments about Israel, his mother told him that he needs to call up the Jewish agency and apologize. Rachel, is this the most Jewish story ever?
That is the most Jewish story ever. I will say, when your mom calls you and tells you to do something,
yes,
wrong, you got to do it. It's like your grandma coming over and telling you you haven't eaten even though you ate 30 minutes.
Ah, there you go. My heart is warmed and swelling. Stephen, this is a thing. I have stepped in shit many a times, and my wonderful mother has made me say, you tell them.
It's a thing.
It's
Yeah.
a thing.
Why do I feel like Seth Rogen's now going to make like a movie out of it and try to get like Adam Sandler to play his mom or something?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he does a great job about that kind of stuff. So, Stephen, actually, this is a story that I know is a favorite of yours, and that is, let's see if I can get this thing down. And that is, let's see if I can find this thing. Yes. So, did you know that Oslo, Norway, is the capital of the Confederacy? Did you know this?
I did. I read the paper.
Yes, you did. Well, apparently, a family in Michigan put out a Norwegian flag, and guess what? People mistook it for a Confederate flag, and Rachel's face made me laugh, and forced them to remove it. Rachel, are these the stupidest people or the stupidest people?
Oh my God, I didn't see that story.
Yes.
But the thing about the story is it was a Norwegian themed hotel.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't know that.
It doesn't get more Norwegian than that. Like it's just it's unbelievable to me that people just do your research before you Norway, come on.
Yeah. No, it's the Norwegian flag.
Look, if you see the flags, there's like a slight similarity. But
why? This is the colors, because it's a cross instead of an X. I mean, come on. You know what? I'll bring up the Norwegian flag in a bit so people can see just how ridiculous it is. But in the meantime, here's another interesting story that I thought. Rachel, what's the last movie you saw in a movie theater?
Oh, in a movie theater.
Before COVID, even. So let's pretend we're in January 2020. What's the last movie you saw?
The movie I saw in theaters was Little Women.
When was that?
This was probably February
of this year, 2020.
Yeah, maybe end of January. Whenever.
Okay, Steven.
I think end of January. Yeah, Little Women.
Last movie you saw in a movie theater. When was it?
Movie I saw in the movie theater, I was in. I want to say I was in Zurich. And I saw it was either Ford versus Ferrari or the one that came out on Netflix, but it was in the movie theaters first. The Irishman.
Okay. Well, this is interesting. So the last movie I saw in the theater was The Last Jedi. That's a while ago. So I hate going to the fucking movies. I'm sorry. What's that?
Bite your tongue. I love going to the movies. Yeah. How can you hate it?
I'm an old Jew. I don't like going to the movies, but this is what I'll say. Well, apparently AMC has come to a deal with the studios. They are going to make their movies available on demand in 17 days as opposed to 3 months. So that's right. Basically 2.5 weeks, and you will be able to watch your movies on demand instead of going to the theater. What I don't understand is, how did the movie theaters agree to put themselves out of business? Rachel.
Wow. I mean, everybody's like desperate to get their content out there, right? I mean, it's like, but it's not the same as going to the theater, but it's like, how do you stay afloat at the same time? Are they going to go under? I mean, it's like, what are you supposed to do? I don't know. It's so hard.
I think that was a move that they did for COVID to try to make some kind of income since they've been closed. But I feel like they failed to realize this isn't going to last forever. Even if it lasts a year, even if it lasts another, whatever, it's not going to last a lifetime, right?
No.
So eventually they're going to make their whole platform streaming. And instead of getting $15 per whatever it is in New York per person to go to the movies, you're now going to have people gathering in houses to watch the newest release for like $20.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love it. I watched The Invisible Man. I watched a few other great movies. I don't mind paying more. I paid $20. We watched the movie, but I got a 4K TV. It was I love it. Why do I go to the movie theater, get bed bugs, get what?
You don't have to leave your house.
Yeah. When have you ever gotten bed bugs in a movie theater?
I haven't, but there was a story a couple years ago, and I'm neurotic, okay?
Yeah. You're the type of guy that gets herpes from a toilet seat. That's you. Forget it.
I haven't ever. That's never happened, by the way.
Terrible.
It's never happened. Don't listen to Steven. He doesn't know what he's talking about, okay? Never happened. But you know what did happen?
Bed bugs from the movie theater. Oh.
Do you know what did happen? I'll tell you what did happen. That's right. Cody the cat received a mail-in ballot for the latest election. And he's not even alive. That's right. So as a preview of things to come, now, to be fair, I'm just, before I get perma-banned, apparently from Twitter, for suggesting that mail-in ballots have general mass fraud. There's no evidence of general mass fraud, but these things do happen. And this deceased cat, Cody the cat, who died 12 years ago, received the ballot. And I don't know, it hasn't been disclosed who he's voting for, however, in this particular election. But nonetheless, he received the ballot. Rachel, is this a preview of what's to come if we decide to do a full mail-in election? And am I putting you on an terribly uncomfortable hot seat? Go.
No, I mean, I am nervous. That's all. I am scared for what's to come. I think mail-in ballots, look, if they can say that they're going to cancel school and not allow children, but then try to push the election, that's a whole lot of shit. Like,
so then if they allow school but don't allow the election, do you have a problem?
Yeah. Wait, what'd you say?
I said if they allow school.
Sorry, yes,
but then, okay.
Yeah, if they allow school and they're trying to push the election, I think it's a bunch of shit. I'm nervous, but I hope that the mail-in ballots, if it comes to that it'll all go smoothly and there won't be too much fraud or whatever comes with that.
Stephen looks skeptical.
Yeah.
Was it actually addressed to Cody the cat?
Yes, it was actually addressed to Cody Timms, who is, of course, the last name of the family.
How does that happen? How does that happen?
I mean, idea how that happens, but apparently it does. That's the Associated Press, by the way. That's not some local blogger. That's the Associated Press, by the way. My story.
Several dogs in my lifetime, several pets, and none of them have ever received one piece of mail. So how does that happen?
I don't know, but apparently it can. But you know what? There is hope. Do you know why there's hope? Because apparently Johnson & Johnson's vaccine has prevented infection in monkeys. And this is a huge deal because, so we know that the vaccines can produce antibodies, but the fact that they are able to actually prevent infection. So 5 out of 6 monkeys had nothing, 0, and one of them had completely mild. This is a great precursor for potential vaccine. And this is the vaccine, by the way, that has something like 1.6 billion backing from the US government to mass produce some 100 to 300 million doses. So the fact that their vaccine has been able to straight up stop infection. And this is some great news. Rachel, great news?
Hell yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, everybody's dying for a vaccine, I think.
Except for the anti-vaxxers.
I think it's great. I mean, I think I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful for a vaccine before the end of the year, and then by that point, by the time it becomes widespread, it's another 4 to 6 months. So I'm hopeful for late spring, although, by the time things are really starting to get back. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, they're going into human trials now, right? Didn't they just start the human trial?
Yes. So yes, but the good news, so they did human trials in something like 1,000 people, but now it's to the neighborhood of like 10, 20, 30,000 people.
Good enough for me. Distributed already.
And the best news that I've heard from all of this is that they literally don't have any room for new people. Right? Because so many people volunteered for this. They're like, no, we're full. This is great. The other good news is that the problem in some of these areas is that COVID is disappearing too quickly, believe it or not. Stephen. Yes, I know. Wait, hold on. Stephen, COVID is disappearing too quickly, and that's becoming a problem because they can't test it real time.
Isn't the foil supposed to be from the aliens to stop the aliens from like reading your mind?
It's a tinfoil hat. It's an allegory for conspiracy theories. It's stop being so literal. Jeez, this is what happens when I don't review this with you beforehand. He's just mad because we didn't get to hang out last weekend. I know.
I'm so angry.
That's what happens. I know. That's what happens. Okay, so next story, however, Dr. Burks, my girlfriend, has called for face masks. That's right. She's like, you know what? Your regular masks are not enough. You should have a face shield also. And Stephen, I knew this was going to be your face, so I'm going to highlight you for this. Stephen, what do you think about face shields? Go.
I think they should just teach people to wear the mask fucking correctly. I mean, it's not, the masks aren't working because people wear them below their nose. It doesn't, I mean, isn't like, I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. Maybe we should have.
You think that, look, I think the mask is helpful, but look, if you, God forbid you're sick and I'm standing next to you and we're talking for 30 minutes, like, is the mask stopping it?
Yes. Yeah. What's it coming? Is it coming out of my fucking eyeballs? No. I mean,
it can get into your fucking eyeballs. And that's why she wants the face mask.
But if I'm sick and talking to you and I'm wearing a mask, I'm not spreading anything onto you.
Well, you're spreading it less.
But I mean, here's the thing. I'm not a doctor. Maybe we should get one of these doctor.
Yeah, get your cousin again. Doctor, what was the name again? I'm sorry.
But here's the thing. Isn't it you wear the mask over your mouth, not so much to inhale it, but I mean to get it through your thing, but from you to stop spreading it because you inhale it through the nose, which is where the virus gets into. The virus, from what I understand, the virus cannot really, unless you have some sort of fungus going on in your mouth, the virus can't survive in your saliva in your mouth to go all the way down to your lungs. So it initially goes through the nose, right? And that's how you get it. So when you don't cover your nose, you're not doing shit. You might as well just throw the mask on the floor and stomp on it or lick a park bench because you know what? You're not doing it correctly.
Rachel.
I mean,
are you wearing a face mask?
I think if everybody would just wear their damn regular masks the right way.
Say
fucking masks the right way. Then everything will be fine. I mean, Steven's right. Like, I'm sick and then it's like,
There you go.
It's funny. I worked in Asia in the past couple of years. I worked in Japan, and then before that I worked in South Korea. And the first time I saw it was in South Korea. I saw people wearing masks to rehearsal. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, why are they wearing masks? Are they afraid of getting sick? And they said, no, those are the people that woke up and may feel slightly off today, don't know if they're getting sick. So they wear a mask to cover themselves for you.
Yeah. I have supported this for years. I think that culturally, and I think it'll change now. I mean, I wish it didn't come to this, but I love the idea of people who are sick wearing the mask and that it's socially acceptable. Look, I have a cold, I have whatever, but like, look, he's wearing a mask. But the reality is they're right. You should wear a mask. Like if you're sick, wear a mask. You're stopping the spread. You're helping.
Right. You're not touching. You're not touching your nose. You're not touching your mouth. You're not then touching things on the seat. You're not. It's people are just. I don't get it.
People are stupid. But I mean, I think this will hopefully slow the spread of the regular flu. When regular flu season comes back, because people aren't going to be shaking hands anymore, and that's how things travel. People hopefully will wear masks when they feel sick.
I mean, let's be honest. Are you going to go into like open heart surgery and tell the doctor, look, you're right, you don't have to wear a mask or gloves?
What's ironic is that apparently Trump said that at the beginning. He said that at the beginning. He's like, why do they wear masks? And Fauci's like, you don't have to worry about that. But then they're like, wait, this is airborne. This could be a problem. Like he was the one who pointed that out. It's so funny, his childlike stupidity at times, pardon me for getting a little politically, but his childlike attitude about things. He's like, why aren't we wearing masks? And because Europe was doing it beforehand, but that's not working for them as well either, apparently. Next story. Okay, here we go. So now we are entering do we give a shit territory. Rachel, you're new to the show. And that is, we are talking about stories and we get to talk about whether or not we give a shit. Generally, these stories are really weird and quirky. So do we give a shit that this poor man who lost his penis to a horrific blood infection, became the first man in the world to have a new one built on his arm.
Okay, I have a question. Where do you find these stories? I need to know.
They're really reliable sources. I mean, you're looking at the Sun. So.
It's funny. So I first saw this story. It's funny you said it. I first saw this story. I don't remember where I saw it. And then the New York Post covered it and a couple other places covered it. Apparently, this is like a big story that this man had his penis built on his arm. What do we think about?
Like the summertime?
I'm very.
What'd you say?
What is he doing like the summertime? Excuse me, sir. You're
exposed. What's that?
What is he doing like the summer? It's like, excuse me, sir. You're exposing yourself. Please put on a long sleeve shirt.
I mean, you're worried about the summer. There's a lot of other things I'm really curious about. I mean, that's a wild story. I mean, like, I don't know. Okay, I'll go to the next story. Sorry.
A lot of questions.
I guess we shouldn't give a shit. Here's a good one. Twitter finally bans David Duke. He's sitting there spouting his bullshit for years, and they finally banned him. Rachel, do you give a shit that this horrific racist finally got banned from Twitter?
I mean, no, I don't. I'm not on Twitter, so I don't really like. I probably should get a Twitter, but I just never had one, and so I'm so like out of touch with anything that happens on Twitter. So I don't know.
Yeah, but he has a big platform. He has a lot of followers. He gets to say these terrible things. I mean, is that a good thing that he gets to not be able to do that anymore?
Yes, I think that's good. He should be banned if he's a racist asshole, for sure.
I mean, I don't give a shit that they banned him. He should have been banned. He shouldn't be on it. He shouldn't have followers to begin with.
Yeah.
However, I do give a shit that it took Twitter this long to do it. And it took a million people telling Twitter, this is wrong.
Yep.
For them to do it. So obviously they have a little explaining to do.
Yes, they do. And I really, by the way, like it's almost like, and this was the 1 week that I didn't give Stephen all the stories in advance, but this is a great segue into this. And that is that Twitter refused to remove Ayatollah Khamenei's tweets after he called for the genocide of all the Jewish people. They're like, well, he's a head of state, so I guess it's fine. Rachel, is it fine that it's fine that he gets to just be like, wipe out all the Jews? Is that fine?
No, that is not fine.
It's not fine. I don't think it's
fine. It's not cool.
No, it's not fine. Steven, is it fine?
It's exactly what's wrong with Twitter.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, his comments are probably no different than David Duke's. So
that's
ban
true.
them. Like fucking ban it. Like why is that? Why is that? Why is it? Why is it okay for an American-based company to have that on their platform?
Well, they claim that it's like a way for heads of state to communicate and blah blah blah. But I think it's ridiculous. I agree with you 100%.
The rest of the world, don't they have private conversations? Can't they just call each other on the phone?
Yeah, no, they'd rather rattle those sabers actually. But here's an interesting little thing. So apparently, here you go. Moschino has developed a new bag. I call this the Strap-Various. Rich, would you buy this bag?
Wait,
it's
that's
a bag. Yes, this is a bag in the shape of Stradivarius violin. Here, I'll show you some other pictures. Here, see, there's a zipper on the back. What do you think?
Where's the strap? Where do you hold it from? I guess that
there's a strap. You see the strap there?
On the bottom? Is that the strap?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a strap. You see it? On the bottom there?
Wow.
Is this something you'd be interested in?
It doesn't look like it would hold a whole lot.
No, there are other pictures. Let me see if I can find some of these other pictures. I thought this was hilarious. There you go. There's some other pictures, right? So this is what it looks like in the front. There's a woman holding it. Here. This is basically as good as a picture I can get. That's what the zipper on the back looks like. What do you think, Rachel? Is this something you'd be interested in?
Hilarious. I personally would not buy this bag, but
Not for 1,380 American dollars.
I got to pass on that one.
Stephen, would you buy this bag for $1,380?
I give a shit that you put this on here because now my wife's going to want it. And I don't have a job. So
you're going to have a job. Okay. Well, no, I appreciate that. Okay, so let's see if I have any other stories here. We're almost out of stories here, but let me see if there's something else here that's of also, if we have any viewer questions for our guest or for us, we'd certainly love to. Actually, you know what? We can end this on a really, really, really nice note. What do you think about that? Is that okay with you, Steven? We can end this on a really nice note. So, a blind dog. It sounds so pathetic, but it's so wonderful. Discovered a puddle for the first time. And this is the sweetest thing that you are going to see in a very long time. So let's watch this doggy enjoy this puddle for the first time. There he goes. He's like, oh my God, this is so great. And now he drinks some of the water. This is my favorite thing I've seen in a long time.
That is so sweet.
Wow. So we have a blind dog teaching us about happiness and a blind opera singer telling us that COVID's fake. We're all in the same show. Amazing.
Hey, we're here for everyone. Steven, talk about next week's show, and then we can sign us off.
Next week's show, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be with our guest Ian Derr, who is the general director of the Dallas Opera. It's a show not to be missed, and maybe we'll have some mystery guest on. We haven't decided that yet, but so far we have a great show for you.
Yes, thank you to our special guest Rachel Blaustein. We wish you all the best. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Hope you come back.
I hope so.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, you guys. We will all see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, and all that good stuff. Did it end?
How do we do that?
I think we're still live.
Yep.
We are still live. I got to push end again.